Hey there, this is Christine. Thanks so much for tuning into my Mostly Keto kitchen. I just got back from vacationing with my family in the Northwest. We were visiting our aunties, and they are both fabulous cooks, and I'm always super inspired to get back into my kitchen and try new recipes after visiting them. We also went to a French restaurant called Le Pichet in Seattle, and it made me realize how keto French food is. Now, I lived in France a fair amount when I was a kid. Like, I lived there for a year when I was 4 years old, and I lived there again when I was 17, but also visited at various other times. And so I have somewhat of a sense of how the French eat and how it's a part of their lifestyle. And so it's kind of neat to make that connection between the keto lifestyle and the French lifestyle. Now, I was chubby, so as a 17-year-old when I was living there, and I lived with a family, and I can remember the mom of the family saying, oh, don't eat too many cherries from the cherry tree. There was this awesome tree in the backyard, and she said, oh, that'll make you fat if you eat those. And, and I think that's really how we think about fruit here. We tend to think about fruit and combining it with veggies, and oh, fruit and veggies, those are so healthy for you. But the French way of looking at fruit is, that'll fait grossir, it'll make you fat. My French mom, she wasn't a petite French woman, and so she would watch her weight, and one of the ways that she would do that is just focus on meat and veggies. So a typical lunch for her would be steak and green beans. And, and that's pretty keto to eat that way. So I decided to do that when I came home from our trip. So this is a picture of what I made. So it's a steak, and I steamed up some green beans, and I also made a hollandaise sauce. So what is in a hollandaise sauce? It is egg yolks, lemon juice, and lots of butter. So pretty keto, and it was delicious. A little too lemony, so in that case I did 3 egg yolks and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I think that that's too much, so I would do more like 1 tablespoon. But you can look online for a recipe. I think the Julia Child one says 1 tablespoon. So that's very Frenchy. Another thing that I've been playing around with is liver. So I generally don't eat liver. I do like pate, but I just haven't had it be part of my diet. And I started looking at the nutritional content of liver, and I think we probably all know this. Liver is jam-packed full of vitamins and minerals. It is so good for us. So what do the French do? Well, they make pate. They make it delicious by adding onion and garlic and herbs, and again, lots of butter, and then they usually put a little bit of cognac in, and that's how you can make pate, and it's fabulous. And you can keep it keto by having it with cucumbers, or, if you're gonna be just sort of mostly keto and not too serious about it, have it with a little bit of bread. But, lots of pate, small amount of bread, and you can really, it's really good for you that way. So anyway, so it's not just the foods that they eat that are keto, but the French, it's also the way that they eat. So one of the things that they do is they have a very light breakfast, and often they're just skipping breakfast. And I know in the US we think, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, you don't want to skip it. But that's not really necessary to think that way. There really is no good evidence indicating that that's true. And for a lot of people, extending that fast, eating dinner and then going for maybe 14 or 16 hours and not eating until say 10 or 11 or even just having lunch, that's good for you, because the longer you go on a fast like that, I shouldn't say long, but just, within a day, it's totally good because you're really getting the fats out of storage and you're using them, and that's a very keto thing. That's how you create your ketones, is by using your fat stores. So anyway, a light breakfast or skip breakfast. And then, but they don't eat eggs for breakfast, which is kind of interesting. So that part is not very keto. They pretty much, they like to have a little bit of bread with some butter and jam is the way they tend to do breakfast. So anyway, not the worst thing in the world, and it's actually quite delicious. Large lunch, so that's what they are gonna focus on most, is their lunch. And they start with something called a crudité. So this is just from having gone to school there. Every kid eats their crudités, and so that's going to be like, say, cucumber or carrot or some other kind of vegetable chopped up, and it's going to be in sort of in a vinaigrette. And so you sit and you eat that first, and then you have your main meal, and that is usually going to be some kind of meat and vegetable, or sorry, maybe a meat, and then there could be some carb with it, but I'll get back to that carb part in a little bit. And then after that is when you would have salad, and after that is when you have yogurt or cheese, and then maybe if you're going to have some dessert, have a little bit of dark chocolate. So lunch, spread out, it takes a long time to eat it, you eat it with other people, and you make it a big deal. And so that's something that's very different than the way Americans eat. And then dinner would generally be something light. Now, I'm going to speak about this from the perspective of a woman who's, I'm almost 50. So the way that, French women, and they do look fabulous as they age, I think they're not eating a ton. They keep it under control, but they want to eat the things that are most delicious to them. And so they probably have kind of a light dinner that's focused more on veggies. But again, they never shy away from the butter or the olive oil. And they do try to just enjoy their food. Now, you'll notice there is no snacking. So there's no mid-morning snack, there's no mid-afternoon snack, there's no bedtime snack. They eat 3 meals a day and they stick to it. So that's good. And then other thing I wanted to point out was just having the salad and those little crudités. There is a connection between eating more acid and having it be helpful with digesting fats. And so it's a good idea to follow this plan. I think you digest your food better, especially having that salad after the meal, and have a vinaigrette with it. So it's red wine vinegar and olive oil, maybe a little mustard mixed in there. That makes a really nice dressing. So anyway, style of eating is an important part of it. So French eating and keto eating, fairly similar, because remember, keto eating is mostly about higher fat, lower carbs, and also keto eating is about allowing your body to have a chance to pull those fats out of storage and then make the ketones and the glucose out of it so that you don't need to always be eating all the time. All right, so bon appetit. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.